Hello, my name is Paul Hilton. I'm a student at the NYU Tandon School of Engineering, and this is my final project presentation for my Introduction to Systems Engineering class. And the name of my paper and presentation is Tesla Motors and the Advancement of the Automobile from a Systems Perspective. Now, this is a presentation to accompany my final paper. There was a presentation to accompany the midterm paper, and the beginning of this presentation is going to contain the same content, but for those slides I'm just going to go over more briefly, as you can hear them in more detail from the midterm presentation, and then after briefly going over the original slides, I will go to the new content and talk about that in more detail. So the project overview is the fact that Tesla has reimagined the automobile at the systems level. They've pursued unproven technology in the electric car, and they've approached it in new and innovative ways, which has carved out a place for Tesla in the automotive market. Now, also they've introduced very new technology that is yet to be fully implemented by any company, and it's the idea of an autopilot that would take this transportation system that has been around for so long and take it to a completely new level of technological advancement that could change the system the way we view it forever. And we're also going to look at how Tesla is now exploring home solar energy with the vision of customers being able to generate their own electric power to charge their cars and use the excess to charge use in their homes as well. So a brief history is Tesla Incorporated was founded in 2003, named after the famous inventor Nikola Tesla, and the name comes from the fact that Tesla actually invented the inductor motor, which Tesla uses in its automobiles, a new and improved version. So that's where the name comes from. And they entered a competitive market against long-standing competitors, which is something tough to do in the automotive industry, and with the goal of really implementing unproven technology. So they had a lot of work ahead of them to get to where they are today. Now, Elon Musk is a big part of Tesla. He's a well-known technological innovator and businessman. He's a key investor and co-founder of Tesla, among many other companies, and he's been the CEO of Tesla since 2008. He's also been a major investor into the company and has been since its inception. So we're going to go over some of the technology again briefly. The induction motor has many advantages over the internal combustion engine, which is used in the typical car for a very long time. It has quick response from the accelerator pedals. It has a much more linear and efficient power output across capable RPMs, allowing for much less complicated and bulky transmission systems, which reduces the overall weight of the car. Generates direct rotational motion, unlike internal combustion engines, which cuts out even more complicated mechanical systems and even further reduces the weight. And again, here we have as it reduces the weight. The batteries are a big part of what gives Tesla an advantage over current electric cars. It uses thin mats of hundreds of small battery cells rather than multiple large batteries. Now this improves the temperature distribution as well as the weight distribution, which overall improves the car's performance. And also, because of the small cells spaced out, it increases the effectiveness of their special cooling system they use, which helps distribute the temperature, as I said before. And the mats are interchangeable and scalable, so it's very easy to maintain. Now, the autopilot technology, they're in the beginning stages of it now. There are some features available in the cars already today, but the way they introduce new wireless software updates that, as they're ready and as approved by the government, can be sent directly to cars already existing, and so the cars can automatically start using these features as they already have the hardware needed built in. You can see some of the features that are available currently, and more features are going to be introduced until the point where the car will be able to completely drive itself independently. And now the home solar, Tesla merged with SolarCity in 2016, which Elon Musk is a co-founder of that company as well. They aim to combine their own battery technology with the solar panels from SolarCity so they can effectively not just generate the energy but store the energy and use it for not just charging a car but in your own home as well, which makes it much more effective than other home solar systems, and it ties directly into this automobile system that Tesla has to offer. So now we go into the systems engineering perspective. We start with the needs analysis and the electric car market. Are people buying electric cars? So one thing is that through the Go Green movement, people are desired to move on from fuel burning cars, and electric cars are kind of held in a nice light that people are desiring to buy them. And you can see Tesla specifically, especially since they introduced the Model 3, which is in red, their sales have steadily increased over time and may skyrocket with the introduction of the more affordable Model 3. Now, also, there's going to be greater need for electric cars, and that many countries are implementing regulations that are actually going to ban fuel burning cars in the future. You can see major countries involved, and these bans are going to go into effect as early as 2020, and in most cases, almost all cases, by 2030, the latest. So electric cars are going to be in demand out of necessity more than just the want. So that's something that is going to come into play for these systems as well. Also, in the United States, even though they don't have this legislation in place, the U.S. government showed their faith by awarding Tesla a $465 million loan through a program created by the U.S. Department of Energy, and that is used to help Tesla research and develop technology for their Model S and General Electric powertrain technology to be used in all types of applications. So the U.S. is showing their backing that this system as well. Also, as far as the autopilot, a need for that is traffic and safety. I mean, people get injured in cars every year. It's dangerous. And traffic problems are increasing around the world across the board as well. And with the autopilot technology, you can not only help limit traffic problems, but also it ideally could be much safer, and you wouldn't have to worry about drunk drivers, distracted drivers, and everything would be in the hands of this technology that ideally would be even safer and more efficient than how we're using this system currently. Now, I'm not going to go too into detail here, but the basic subsystems that I've broken down this complex system in the midterm presentation, you can hear me go more into detail about this, but you can see here and read the information if you'd like. Now, for the feasibility analysis, is it feasible to break into this industry that's so difficult to break into, as many have tried and failed? But Tesla has set goals and has been reaching them for 15 years now, and as you've seen, their growth keeps improving at a faster and faster rate. They're hitting milestones for electric cars that no company has done. So they've shown that so far that they're on the right track to make it possible, and that they're putting themselves in a very good position. And then you have to think, is it feasible to develop such an unproven and complex technology like the Tesla autopilot? And it's remained to be completely answered, as they're still in the middle of working on it, but Tesla continues to test, develop, and release these new features at a steady rate, and they're showing improvement, and they keep doing it at a step at a time, and at this rate it does seem like it will be possible, or at the very least they'll be able to implement new groundbreaking features into their cars that other automotive manufacturers haven't been able to do in the past. And needs validation. Tesla is selling their cars at a steadily increasing rate, and they're improving their technology at a similar rate, maybe even faster rate. And also, more affordable models can drive both even further, as the Model 3 is much more affordable than any model Tesla has released before and could really change the type of company they are from a luxury car manufacturer into a car manufacturer for the everyday citizen of not just the United States but the world. And Tesla has the financial and intellectual resources, thanks to Elon Musk and also the US government's backing, to continue to make the developments and growth necessary to take a piece of the automotive market and innovate this market at the same time by innovating their electric car system continuously. Now, the concept exploration, Tesla's financial and intellectual resources also allow the company to thoroughly and effectively explore different approaches to the new technologies they aspire to implement. And by that, I mean that in the beginning, and even up until this point, they're still not totally focused on making money and more focused on developing these technologies, developing this system to bring a new and pretty amazing innovative system onto the market. And it can be seen in the jump of quality and success from the original Roadster to the models available now. And there's no signs of it stopping as they continuously improve their systems. And the same approach ideally will be used to approach their home energy products and the implementation of autopilot. So it certainly has a good outlook. So in the end, they can define their concept pretty clearly at this point, as they've been around for enough years. And their concept definition continues to grow as they add these new functions and features. But as it stands, Tesla looks to continue creating a cutting-edge electric car with the performance of a sports car, the look and design of a luxury car, while having the most technologically advanced features, which now includes the ever-growing autopilot technology. And already this may sound like they're trying to do a lot at once, but so far they have been successful by implementing these one step at a time, and they continue to meet this description closer and closer every day. And this is all in order to pursue the growing market for electric cars due to public demand, and also just by reaching this market by creating such a unique and incredible product. And the autopilot technology, while not completely developed, will be released to existing models through wireless software updates as it becomes available and approved. So even with that alone, this definition will continue to grow. So for the challenges, obviously they're trying to do a lot with this system, something that manufacturers haven't done before, so it doesn't come without challenges. So many more functions and much more technologically advanced ones than a traditional automobile are involved in this system. So getting all to work at once and work cooperatively is difficult. That's obviously a challenge for any system that is complex and has many functions in some systems, and that certainly applies to Tesla's electric automobiles. And then, will society welcome self-driving cars with open arms, or will it take time? With self-driving cars, this is something new, so there's lots of challenges as it's so unproven. Not only in implementing the technology, but getting people to trust the technology, getting people to have a desire to use the technology. So will Tesla be able to reach its consumers and get them to be interested, or is it going to take time for society to be interested in this technology? And also a challenge with these self-driving cars is, as it stands, there's no real legislation on how we're going to deal with these cars on the road and how they're going to be governed and who will be held responsible when things go wrong. So legislation is bound to come, and that could certainly change the outlook of self-driving cars, and this could change from state to state, country to country, or across the board. So Tesla's going to, through their development, have to constantly adapt to whatever legislation does come into play, which is going to certainly be a challenge for the company. So so we can see that, and it took 3 years before the first model was sold. It was sold to Elon Musk himself, and Tesla knew though that even after these 3 years of development, this car was not where they wanted it to be. But Tesla did want to get it into the market as soon as possible, and you could see that from 2008 and 2012, their plan was to constantly not only release new versions as improvements were made, but they also did something pretty unique, I believe, to the automotive industry, and that was offering performance upgrades to existing models so owners could purchase these, bring it to a Tesla location, and have them modified. And these performance upgrades improve things like the overall range from one charge, the battery capacity, and just all around automotive performance. So while in some ways, so you can see that they were constantly still developing it even after it was available for purchase. And this is an idea that you'll see that Tesla's used for many other aspects of the development of later models and later technology. So to continue with the original Roadster, you can see that it served almost more as a prototype and proof of concept for future models, and it was never really destined for commercial success. But it did serve its purpose and was very successful for what Tesla wanted it to be. One of the big things was it was the first all-electric car to travel more than 200 miles per charge, which was quite significant, as one of the biggest criticisms of electric cars was the range, and this was quite a big milestone. It also reached top speeds of 125 miles an hour and had quite a fast acceleration time, and certainly more than any electric car available at the time. So the Tesla Roadster, even being Tesla's first model, and even though it had many things that could be improved upon, still was quite impressive as far as the electric car as a system. And also, it still did bring in a profit of $1 million off of a total $20 million revenue. And all of the profit and revenue is used directly to be sent into the development of the Model S. So you can see how the original Roadster was more of a developmental stepping stone than a product in itself. But it certainly served a significant purpose in getting Tesla to where it is today with the models they offer now, including the Model. So now we're going to take it more to the modern times with the advanced development stage and look at the autopilot technology. And like I said, how they used the similar tactics of releasing what they had at the time and improving upon that with the Roadster. They did a very similar thing with the autopilot technology. So in 2014, a few years past the original Roadster, Tesla began selling their Model S's and X's with hardware packages that would be able to handle these autopilot features before any of these autopilot features were even unlocked and the software was available. They were planning ahead for it. And this first hardware package, Tesla knew would never be able to support full autonomous driving. Again, it was still just like the first version of the Roadster, where they put out what they had and wanted to see it in action and then develop it from there. So it was very similar. So from the first hardware package then, they released a second hardware package that had many more cameras and sensors and just overall just much more advanced and developed. And this package they claimed was going to be the first package available that if you bought this package, your car would eventually be able to support fully self-driving. But you can see that they used a GPU developed by NVIDIA here, and in the next slide we're going to get a little bit more into that aspect of it, as it turned out to not be sufficient. So Tesla quickly realized that this NVIDIA GPU couldn't handle the computing that was necessary for the full self-driving capability. So Tesla had to continue their development efforts and actually went ahead and developed their own GPU. So then from there, since then, there's been the hardware 2.5 and hardware 3.0 packages that have both included Tesla's own processors and improvements in wiring and sensors overall. And now, even though the full autopilot and autonomous driving isn't available, they're very confident now that this package can and will be able to support it as it becomes available. And it does support all of the current features that are available. And not only did they take a unique approach to developing this, but they use a unique approach to testing it as well, as this is very uncertain technology, and being that it's uncertain, Tesla showed full confidence in it by offering their own employees to test it for them. Now, Elon Musk sent a personal email to the employees and offered not only a free car with a full self-driving package, but it would also come with a free premium interior upgrade as well, totaling to a $13,000 value. And this was in exchange for getting access to these features earlier than anyone else and giving feedback and just system data on how it's gone. And so far it's been progressing, and they really are getting close to being able to release a completely autonomous car. So now we're going to look at the engineering design, which looks at three main components. It's after the main system has been designed, and beyond the functions, it looks at improving the reliability and the maintainability of the system. So one of the best ways to improve reliability is having redundancy in the system, as when part of the system fails, there's something to back it up and keep that working. And Tesla draws from a very important redundant component in their autopilot technology that significantly improves reliability in many past systems, especially in the aviation industry. And this redundant component is actually a human being operator itself, as if something were to go wrong with the autopilot technology, having that human being there ready to take over in case of failure could really is huge as far as safety and preventing very large accidents. And what their Tesla cars actually do is they constantly monitor the awareness of the user, making sure they're awake and aware, even when the car is completely driving itself. And this is so, if anything goes wrong, that this person can take over and prevent a really big accident from happening. So what the car will actually do is, if it detects that you are not aware, it will actually slow itself down and pull itself over until the user is ready to take on the responsibility of driving. And this has been used for autopilot technology in planes and other systems, and is a huge part of what keeps these systems reliable. Now we look at the maintainability. Now, as far as the maintainability of these systems, battery technology stands out the most in that they're modular, these battery packs. So you don't have to replace the entire battery system. If a battery pack gets burnt out or fails, all you have to do is replace the one module, which really just makes it much easier to maintain, and it makes it cheaper to maintain as well. And also, because of these battery modules and the small battery cells, there's a sophisticated cooling system that's able to be implemented in the gaps, and this keeps temperatures at safe and evenly distributed levels, which also just greatly improves the life of Tesla's batteries. So you don't to begin with, compared to other electric cars, as far as maintenance goes, you don't need to replace them as often. And as I said, when you do have to replace them, it's quite easier. And then the producibility. So as it stands, and as we talked about before, Tesla's main focus has been on technology development. And while they're starting to move into that phase where they're starting to look more at revenue and production, as it stands currently, Tesla, these newer models use over 10,000 unique parts, and they're manufactured, some by Tesla, but many by other companies spread all over the world. And because of this, if any one of the 10,000 parts has some slip up and can't be delivered, it slows down the entire production of the final project. So the producibility has a lot of room for improvement, but Tesla is aware of this, and while they're okay with it for now, they have plans to improve upon this greatly that we're going to look at later in the production phase of the development that we're going to talk about a little later in the presentation. So producibility is not great currently, but there is a plan to fix this. So now we have the integration of the subsystems and the evaluation of the total system together. Now, Tesla's automobile system is unique in that there are external subsystems and components that cannot be evaluated until the actual automobile itself is finished, and that is the phase where they're integrated and tested. And many of these features, these external subsystems, are unique to Tesla, and what makes this system quite unique and amazing. And some of these systems include Tesla's network of charging stations, Tesla's home solar charging, and also Tesla's smartphone app. So for this phase of the development, we're going to talk about these subsystems as they were implemented after the actual automobile itself was finished, but they're still a part of the complete system. So the charging network. So one of the things Tesla set out to do from the start is to eliminate all conveniences that come with owning an electric car. And as I said before, the limited range is one of the bigger ones. And that's just because for your fuel burning car, you have gas stations everywhere. When you run out of fuel, you could constantly refuel. So there's really no electric charging station network available. So Tesla has actually went out and has created their own infrastructure of a charging network to combat this problem, and also perhaps one day become another stream of revenue that will go directly to Tesla. So as it stands, Tesla now has 1,261 stations with 10,000 superchargers, what they call, around the world. And this number doesn't even include the existing standard charging stations. And the difference is the supercharging stations are able to charge at much faster and convenient rates. And they plan to build many, many more of these stations with the hopes that eventually that you can rely on these just as much as you can rely on a gas station. And now a little more than 1,000 for the whole world doesn't sound like a lot, but in places like the west coast of the United States, there's a strong presence, and they have plans to bring this to the East Coast and other countries as time goes on. Now for the home solar, so as I said before, how Tesla purchased Solar City to give owners more in-home charging options and also additional benefits. Now this idea comes from the fact that, I mean, you don't need the solar panels and the solar system to charge your car, but it can become quite costly on your energy bill if you're just plugging it into your outlet, which is an option. But Tesla looks to innovate this and change the way it's viewed while starting to implement this system and have it interact with your own home. And what Tesla offers as part of this is not only its solar panels and the Tesla Powerwall, which uses the same battery technology in the cars. Soon they're going to be offering something unique to even solar energy companies, and that is solar shingles with invisible solar cells that actually are designed to look just like any typical non-solar roofing shingle and blend right in to take away from some people who find solar panels not to look very nice on their home. So they're even taking the idea of the solar energy to new perspectives as well, and it's all going to tie into their systems. And now, so we've talked about a lot of the how Tesla's developed their system and has gotten to it today, and now we're going to look at how the production of these systems is handled and how Tesla plans to improve upon this as time goes on. So Tesla plans to improve the producibility by taking over all aspects of production, which they don't do now. And they plan to do this with buildings that they call gigafactories. Now, the first gigafactory, Gigafactory 1, is already under construction and is already partially producing some of the batteries for Teslas now. And this factory is in Nevada. And even now, it is only 30% complete, but even at 30%, it already stands at 1.9 million square feet, and within that is 4.9 million square feet of operational production space between multiple floors. And at 30%, by the time this building's finished completion, it's actually planned to be the largest building in the world, hence the name Gigafactories. And already at 30% completion, Gigafactory 1 has reached an annual production rate of 20 gigawatt hours worth of batteries, already making this the highest volume battery plant in the whole world, not just for cars, but in general. And these factories are designed to be entirely solar powered. And while Gigafactory 1 currently is not, as construction is still underway, that is the end goal, which would be quite a marvel in itself. Now, Gigafactory 1 only currently makes batteries and powertrain components, but Tesla plans to build more of these gigafactories that will eventually aid in the production of every single component and part used in these systems. And in fact, the beginning stages of Gigafactory 2 and 3 are underway, and these are going to be in Europe and China respectively. And it's even planned for the Gigafactory 3 in China in the end to be even larger than Gigafactory 1, which will be set to be the largest building by square feet by the end of its completion. And Tesla doesn't plan to stop here, but they plan to have 10 to 12 gigafactories all across the world that are going to aid in the production and solve their producibility problem that they currently have. And this is where Tesla really can become a major force in this automotive industry. So now here we're just summarizing what we talked about and what this all means and has led to. So after analyzing Tesla Incorporated's electrical automobile systems through each step of the system's life cycle model, we have many conclusions can be drawn. The first is that Tesla Incorporated, through the leadership and vision of Elon Musk, has completely reimagined not only the automobile itself, but the development and production of an automobile as well. They've really taken unique approaches. And then through this development and continued development of these systems, they have implemented many unproven technologies in never before seen ways and continue to push to introduce even more unproven technologies to their automobile system. And this sets themselves apart very far technologically from other car manufacturers right now. And all of this that we've discussed and just discussed now in the summary puts Tesla Incorporated in a very good place financially and technologically for the future years to come, And this could lead to Tesla becoming a major player in the automotive industry, which is certainly what they're planning to do within creating these factories, expanding upon this system, and expanding upon what this system can accomplish. So I hope this was informative. All my resources can be found on my accompanying paper on the final pages. And that concludes this presentation. Thank you.